going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds bbq. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful, delicious, smoky, tender beef tongue. Coming up! As you may know, the Texas Monthly Top 50 list just came out last week, and I am very proud to announce that Leroy Lewis made number 5. I cooked that chicken, and I could not be more proud of that team and everyone else who made that top 50 list. Out of over 400 places that were considered for this list, making top 50 is no small feat, especially top 10, so congratulations to everyone who made it. And to help celebrate, today I'm going to do a dish from Leroy Lewis that we've done several times at the truck, which is a smoked beef tongue. And I know what you're thinking. Ew. But rest assured, just like a brisket or a beef cheek or a short rib, all these cuts that were once considered bottom of the barrel, really tough, when done properly, come out absolutely fantastic, and the tongue is no exception. So, that being said, today I'm going to show you how to smoke a beef tongue, and it is going to be delicious. This is a beef tongue. And these are pretty readily available at your local grocery store. They're usually right in the offal or bone section, usually right next to the beef cheeks. And to my surprise, this is not a very cheap cut. As you can see, this one sold for $9.64 a pound. I thought this was gonna be cheap. I was wrong. But I guess there is only one per cow. Bleh. So this is what a beef tongue looks like. As you can see, really thick and a whole bunch of meat in there. And you can tell there's some really nice marbling in there. But the thing that makes a beef tongue really hard to cook is this big palate on top, this membrane. If you ever felt the tongue of a cow, it's pretty rough, kind of like a cat. And there's several ways to get rid of this. You could just try and peel it off with a knife, but that's pretty hard to do and you're likely gonna mess up the meat. So what most people do is just cook it in some liquid or steam it, or cook it in some stock or something until it is partially cooked and will peel right off in one big strip. But whenever you're cooking something in liquid, whether it's water or a stock, you're gonna lose a lot of flavor to the water because that's basically how you make a broth. So in order to add some extra flavor and make sure this thing comes out nice and tender, we're gonna cook it in beef fat. But before we get to that point, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna just trim this up a little bit. If there's anything kind of scraggly or hanging off or big chunks of fat like that we don't need, we can take off. But really not much to do. Usually on the side here, there's a big piece of fat running through there. I'll just take that out. As you can see, we got some beautiful meat in there. Same on this side. This side's not nearly as bad. But again, we can also remove this later once it comes out of the tallow. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get this in some confit. So, into our container here, we are gonna go in with some beef tallow. Rendered this down a couple of weeks back. Still might be a little frozen in the middle, but that's okay. You can also get beef tallow online. I'll have a link in the description. But in order to add some extra flavor to this tallow, we're gonna go in with some aromatics as well, including 1 onion, some black peppercorns, a couple dried chilies, some garlic, a nice sprig of thyme, rosemary, and because I'm feeling a little frisky today, we'll go in with some Szechuan peppercorns as well. And because it's fall, we'll go in with some warming spices like a cinnamon stick and a star anise pod. And now all we need to do is melt this down. You could do this in your oven or in a warmer or something like that, but you know we're gonna be throwing this on the smoker to get a little extra smoke into the party. And also, ovens are lame. Let's fire up the pit. There's a snake in my boot! How you doing? Hi. Now that the pit is fired up, let's go ahead and throw this on. Aiming for right around 300 degrees, just to get all this fat melted down, all those flavors released. And once all that fat is melted, we'll go ahead and throw our tongue into the fat. Now that all this fat is mostly melted, we're gonna go in with our beef tongue. There should be just enough in here to fully submerge this thing. And now back on the pit this goes for the next 3-4 hours or until it's probing nice and tender and that membrane can peel off. This video is brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. With thousands of meal plans to choose from, whether it's pescatarian, vegetarian, easy weeknight dinners, meat and veg, no matter what your style of eating is, HelloFresh has got you covered with a meal plan for you. And because everything is already pre-portioned for you, there's no need to bust out the measuring spoons or measuring cups because you've already got exact amounts and ingredients of everything you need for the recipe, which makes life super convenient. Not to mention minimal food waste, because instead of buying a whole bottle of something like sesame oil, they just give you exactly what you need. Studies also show that meal plans like this have a much better carbon footprint than traditional methods of shopping. But regardless of all that, I would still choose this plan. It's super convenient that you don't have to spend your time shopping at the grocery store or thinking about what to cook, because HelloFresh will deliver delicious meals right to your house. Really convenient for a busy person to have someone else do the shopping for you a few nights a week. Meal kits like this are also great no matter what your level of cooking experience is. If you're completely new to the kitchen, this is a great place to start because you don't have to worry about what ingredients to buy or proportions or anything like that. Not to mention, the instructions are incredibly easy to follow. Ooh, gotta love a good glaze. And obviously the real winner to HelloFresh is that the food is really good. I have cooked dozens of meals from HelloFresh over the last few months and I have yet to be disappointed. Little drizz. Don't forget the garnish. So if you're in the market for some hassle-free food, just trying to get into cooking, or looking for someone else to do the shopping for you a couple nights a week, head over to HelloFresh.com, use promo code chudsbbq14 upon checkout to get up to 14 free meals. Again, that's HelloFresh.com, code chudsbbq14 for up to 14 free meals. Thank you, HelloFresh. 4 hours later, this tongue is coming off the pit. It's smelling quite delicious, I must say, but it is probing nice and tender all the way through, reading an internal temp of about 203, 205, somewhere in there. So it's time to pull this thing out. Ow! Ooh, this thing is heavy. All right, I'm gonna pull this out and let this rest for the next probably 30 minutes or so, just so it's a little cooler and easy to handle. After cooling down for just a little bit, time to try and peel off this membrane on the outside of this tongue, and it should be pretty easy now that it is fully cooked. Just like any membrane, we're just gonna go after it, try and get underneath it. It's not nearly as slippery as like a membrane on the back of a pork spare rib, so you don't really need to get a towel involved or anything, but it should just peel right off nice and clean. And it looks like that. Beautiful. Nothing to it, folks. And again, this is another reason why it's nice to do it this way as opposed to trying to cut it off from the get-go, because we end up with this nice one solid piece of meat instead of something that's all knife marked up. Don't forget the underside of the tongue too. Ooh, the old knife scrape. Coming in handy. And there we have it, folks. A beautifully clean tongue ready to go. And again, this is fully cooked, nice and tender, probing all the way through. So you could eat this right now, but we haven't added any seasoning to it. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Well, forgot to hit record for that last clip, but what I was saying is I covered this with a nice coating of SPG. Same stuff I used in last week's video. This is 2 parts 16 mesh black pepper, 1 part kosher salt, and 1 part granulated garlic. And you can go on with whatever rub you like, but that's just what I had handy. And the main goal right now, this is thoroughly cooked. We're just adding some seasoning and we're gonna finish it off however you like. We just wanna add a little bit of color to it. So you can throw this on the grill. This would be a great thing to do for a party because you could confit this ahead of time and then just bring it, grill it off, slice it up. But to keep in tradition with Leroy Lewis style, I'm gonna throw this on the mini chud box. After taking all the coals out of that offset and popping them into this mini chud box, I also threw a log of mesquite in there for a little extra flavor, and lid open, this thing is cooking at about 300, 325. So on we go. Ooh, nice sizzle. Just gonna let this cook for the next little bit, get some good color on there, get some good flavor, and we will check back in. All right, after about an hour on the old mini chud box, this thing is looking real nice. Got some beautiful color on there, smelling really nice, and I think it's time to slice on in. Start right in the middle, shall we? Ooh, feeling nice and tender, looking nice and juicy too. Get a couple of slices out of there, why not? Color on this thing is beautiful. Smells fantastic as well. And this section up here has a lot more fat in it, as you saw when we were kind of trimming it up earlier. So you kind of get 2 sections. It's like a brisket, your fatty side and your lean side. But there you have it, folks. A beautiful, juicy slice of beef tongue. Probably should have let this rest a little bit. It is piping hot. But you know it's tender. Just another beautiful cut of meat. Let's see how it tastes. Very good. It's beef. It's super tender, it's super juicy, super succulent. Honestly, looks like a little slice of brisket right there. Even got a little bit of smoke ring on there. That's pretty cool. Could use a little more salt. And that's kind of the problem with beef tongue, is because of that membrane on there. If you don't take it off beforehand, it's kind of hard to get some real good seasoning penetration. This would be a great time for a finishing rub. Or some flaky salt. Can't go wrong though. It doesn't taste weird. It's not organy or anything like that. It's just another cut of delicious, tender beef. Pretty hefty too. When I went to the store, I was planning on picking up 2 of these. I don't know why I thought it was gonna be a small cut, but there you go. Beautiful, nice piece of beef, incredibly soft because of that confit. Hard to beat it. Anybody want a peanut? Ah, flaky salt. Any cut with a little bit of smoke and a little proper technique can always be delicious. Texture is a little bit different than what you're going to be used to with regular beef. Not nearly as coarse of a grain structure, I'd say, as you can see how finely they ripped apart, but definitely worth it, definitely tasty. But as always, I think it's time for the official taste test. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make an absolutely fantastic smoked beef tongue. I highly recommend giving this one a try at least once. It really is an underrated cut and is a lot more tasty than you'd probably think. Big shout out to Evan Leroy. Thank you for showing me this method on how to prepare a beef tongue. And also congrats to him and the rest of my coworkers over at Leroy Lewis for making that top 5 on the top 50 list. That's no small feat, and it was quite a journey to get there. And if you want to know more about what that's like, be sure to head over to the Leroy Lewis Patreon page. I've been putting out a video a week over there just as long as I've been putting out YouTube videos here. So if you sign up right now, there's probably about 90 videos to catch up on with me and Evan and the whole gang putting together all these dishes and specials that we've been doing for the last few years. But if you do give this recipe a try, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds bbq. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see me cook next. Big shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.